Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks. My name's Tracy, and in this video I'm going to be reviewing these Clover Amour crochet hooks. I've been doing this for quite a while now because there was rather a lot of hooks to get through, and it took me a while with lots of different projects to give them a good test. Sorry, just having a drink. I had a few already that I'd bought over the time. And then I had a set, which one of my lovely subscribers gave me a Amazon voucher for my birthday. That was the lovely Madonna ballad. And so I bought the set because I'd never really bought an expensive set before. I'd bought ones and twos of things and maybe built up a little set that way before. But I'd never actually gone out and bought a kind of an expensive set until then. And so I was quite excited to get them and give them a try. So if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. You'll be informed when there are new videos. There's a lot of tutorials and things already on my channel, but there's still lots to come. So that being said, there's also a couple of crochet hook reviews. So far, I did the Rico design made by me, and the Knit Pro Symphony, the wooden ones, and I did some others which escapes me right this moment, but they are all kind of in a playlist, and I will put a little link now to the playlist if you want to have a look at the other crochet hook reviews that I've done. My next ones are going to be these tulip Etimos that I did have a couple of them in the past already. I had some of these ones with the gold, and now I've got the rose ones. So I'm going to be doing the tulips next. I've not really given them much of a use so far, so it will take me a while again to get through them. So the first ones that I used were always kind of the medium size hooks. Another reason I've never bought a set is because I tend to use about 4 hooks and the rest get wasted. So even with this set, I've still not used this really tiny one because I don't use any 3 and 4 ply anymore. It's not to say I won't in the future, and 3 and 4 ply yarn in the UK is quite thin. I think it's Sport and Fingering in the US, and I'm not really sure what it is around the world. I'm not very good at all the different terminologies and names that we have for yarn all over the world. I do see the kind of chart for it, but it's not something I remember. But the thinner ones anyway, I don't tend to really crochet with thin yarn anymore. When my children were babies, I used a lot of 3 ply, which I think you call fingering in the US. So anyway, this one is the only different one because it's plastic, and a lot of people were saying that the plastic hooks were really good, and because I've only ever in the past when I've had plastic hooks, I've not enjoyed it because of the drag that this plastic causes. So I was assured it doesn't have it, so I thought I would get one of the larger ones in the plastic so that I could give it a good try. So I started off with all of these, and I've used, say, from a 350 up to this big fat boy here. So which is a 10, and this one is a 12. So I ordered these for specific jobs that I had over the time, but I've kind of didn't like using them, and I'll show you why. I've got some nice big chunky yarn. This is really lovely, this yarn. It's got a real shine to it. I don't know if you're going to see it on here. It's got a lovely sheen, and it is super bulky, so super chunky in the UK. And when I crochet with this hook, I find it has resistance to get through, and even if I have it loose, it still has some resistance to it. I have to do a really mega loose chain to stop that from happening, and it kind of feels like it pops through unless I pull it. And then when I'm, say for argument's sake, we'll do a stitch. I have the same kind of problem getting it through. I don't crochet really tight. I'm not a really close, oopsie, I'm not, it's because the camera's in the way. I'm not a tight crocheter. I've got kind of even tension, but I wouldn't say it's loose and I wouldn't say it's tight. It's kind of medium. So that really did kind of put me off. The fact that it was, let's try it doing the, what would be like a crisscross, which is one of the things that I wanted to try with this yarn anyway. So yeah, I'm having trouble getting it in there, and you see what I mean? I'll have to force it through. Now that one did go a bit tight, so that's my fault. But this, if you do your double UK stitch by inserting your hook and yarning under instead of over, pulling it through, and yarn over and pull it through both like this, then you make your UK double or US single crochet a little bit, it changes the stitch and makes it into a cross. So I figured, let's see what it looks like with this yarn. But I'm really not enjoying using this big crochet hook. So this one, as I said, is a 10. And I can only imagine that the 12 would be worse. And it's because it's such a rounded top to this hook. You can see it. It's sort of really bulky. You can see it kind of comes out and then goes in. And that's why, I think, because it is quite a big fat size. If it didn't taper there, then perhaps this wouldn't happen. I don't know. I can't say. I'm not a hook designer. But, oh, I couldn't put up with that. I really couldn't. So as far as the big boys go, they're a no-no for me. I didn't enjoy working with them in the slightest. So just going to get a drink. Bear with me. This one, the plastic one. Likewise, wasn't as keen using the plastic, and I know a lot of people have said to me that these plastic hooks don't drag, but to me they're not slippy enough. I can feel as I'm crocheting, that is actually the end, so I'll just do one chain and I'll turn. As I'm crocheting, I feel that it's squeaking along that plastic. I can feel that, and it's kind of making my teeth go on edge a little bit, if you know what I mean. Does that happen to you? I'm not a big fan of when it squeaks, and oh, that was horrible that time. So yeah, just do a normal stitch. It's easier. It does flow a lot easier, but then I have used a much bigger hook to make these stitches. But I didn't, what I did with this one, you may, if you've been with me for a while, you may remember the blanket that I made. I'll show it to you. I started off making this blanket with this crochet hook. And it's blanket stitch. I do have a tutorial for it. I'll put a link up. But the tutorial is for a smaller blanket, but I did show this one as well and say how many chain I used. But I did try using this crochet hook to make this, and I got a few rows in and I couldn't stand it any longer. Now this is chenille. It's I got this yarn in the Aldi yarn event, and it is really soft. There's no resistance in the yarn. It is really drapey, lovely, soft and fluffy. There was nothing, it wasn't like the yarn was stiff in any way. It was purely the fact that this plastic caused the drag, and it was just driving me crazy. So I had to abandon that, and luckily I had this, and I went back to good old faithful aluminium colourful big hook, and this was a 6.5, I believe. Let me just check that. A 6, this one. And so I think that was a 6.5, but I just switched to this, and life was a dream. So I wasn't keen on the plastic, and I wasn't keen on the big hooks. So but luckily I didn't start with those. It does actually crochet much freer, as you can see, but like I said, I did do these with a much bigger hook, but you can see you can get a good speed up. But having said that, it does cause the drag, and I wasn't keen. So those 3, not my cup of tea, but however this is, so I'm going to finish it. Right, so yeah, these smaller ones, every single hook that I tried, I loved it, except this one. And I have no idea why the larger ones, because this, it's hard to see, but this is a, oh heavens, what is that, 6? That's one criticism I've got. You can see that there is a stamp there. But if you don't hold it right, or you haven't got good light, it's really difficult to see that. And so many of them now come with this lovely stamp on there. Now you can't go wrong with that. But I just wish that this was coloured in. But this one, yeah, it's a 6. I didn't get on very well with the 6, and it just seems the larger the hooks with these clovers, the more unreliable they seem for me. Now, as I was crocheting, I can't remember what it was I made with this one, but it might have been a cushion cover, because I made a few cushion covers, but it just kept losing my stitch all the time. And I think it's because on these kind of hooks, they angle the head down, and they angle it quite steeply. It kind of just angles down, and then for me, that it starts there. So you don't have a very long, I hate the word shaft, but that is important on a larger hook for me, that if you don't have enough space here, it's really difficult to crochet. And the handle is lovely and long, and you've got the gripper, and I did think at one point that they would be too fat for me. I wasn't used to this. I mean, for many years I used this, and it's got its own kind of beefiness because it's a larger size, but I wasn't used to holding these big fat hooks. And the first clovers I ever tried was soft touch, which are slim, and I didn't know if I would get on with this. But I have to say that as I've been using these larger hooks and trialing them, I've got used to it now, and I hold mine like a pen, as you know. And so I found that okay, but it's this depth isn't good enough. It's just a bit too stumpy. Could do with like being adjustable. That would be a perfect solution if they had it so that you could have a short one if you wanted, but if you wanted longer, because it doesn't give you much space here before it all starts angling down there, and this angle starts here. And so I just found that all that happened was my stitch slipped off all the time, and I do crochet fairly quick, so it slowed me down. And you know, that was a bit annoying. But all of these, no problem whatsoever. I really enjoyed using them. But the smaller the hook, in that respect, the longer this seems to be. Obviously it's not, but they are the same. But because it's you're using thinner yarn, it's a smaller hook, this seems like a lot more space than when you're using a big fat yarn and a big fat hook. So maybe that was the reason. But I found them, the smaller ones at least, and the medium size, up to a 6, up to a 5.5, absolutely a dream. I loved using them. I will definitely use them time and time again. I can't say that these were my absolute favourite hooks, because they weren't. But I will definitely use them. I won't be using the big ones though, and I really don't know what to do with them. So I might end up giving them away, putting them in some Happy Mail or something, because I just won't ever use them, don't like them, and can't get on with them. And I just think if they were to think about the fact that it's a bigger hook, a bigger yarn that you're using, and think about that, but they don't. They just make them all the same. but they are the same, but in a way, because of the thickness of yarn, etc., they're not the same. So that's my review. I loved the smaller to medium size, larger ones, not for me. So thanks for watching. And as I said, if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscription button and the notification bell, and you'll be informed when there are new videos. And I'm now busy trialing this one. This is the one that I made, you know, the blanket I just showed you. The one I made before that, well, actually haven't finished it yet, is this one. And as I said, I'll put up the link before. And this one I made with that tulip already. So I've started using them, and I will do that. I'll carry on and get to use all the different sizes and do a review for them. So thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now, everyone.